The Belt and Road Initiative, called BRI, proposed by China, is creating trade routes for the world. A Laos student and other overseas students at the Tsinghua University in Beijing told China Global Television Network, or CGTN, in a series of interviews. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the launch of the BRI, which aims to build trade and infrastructure networks connecting Asia and Europe and beyond along the ancient Silk Road trade routes.
From historical point of view, I remember that the Silk Road was created in the Han Dynasty, which is around 2nd.
Ekvisai Chen, a social science student from Laos, said, "From historical point of view, I remember that the Silk Road was created in the Han Dynasty, which is around 2nd century BCE, and then has been used until the late 15th century.
It contributed to the development and economic growth of
Ruslan, a computer science from Azerbaijan, said the Silk Road boosted economic and cultural exchanges between China and Europe and turned his country into a trade hub. It contributed to the development and economic growth of the whole Europe and Asia and also affected the cultural growth in those countries. Azerbaijan was an important hub for the Silk Road connecting East and West, and it was the center of trade between China and Europe."
Actually, a lot of Chinese that immigrated to Indonesia.
Zhong Wenfei, a social science student from Indonesia, pointed out the Silk Road's effects on international ethnic integration with personal stories of her own ancestors. Chong said there is actually a lot of Chinese that immigrated to Indonesia during this time. One of them is actually my grandparents. They came to Indonesia in the 19th century, and they came to Indonesia to do trade, and then they decided to stay in Indonesia.
China is basically helping us to develop infrastructure of our country, to put our country into the world's map.
Ekvisai Chen, a Laos student, currently takes up a social science class at the Tsinghua University in Beijing, says the China-Laos Railway is the example of the role China has played in improving connectivity and infrastructure for countries involved in the BRI.
It starts from Yunnan, Kunming, the station, until like Vientiane.
He said China is basically helping us to develop infrastructure of our country to put our country into the world's map. The greatest example of China doing their role is the train routes which they built. They finished building in late 2021, which starts from Yunnan's Kunming, the station, to Vientiane Station, which is the capital city of Laos. China is basically creating a route for Laos to do trading. The Belt and Road Initiative is a global project that aims to build a trade and infrastructure network connecting Asia with Europe, Africa, and beyond. Laos is one of the countries that lies on this strategic trading point. The country views the Belt and Road Initiative as compatible with the Lao government's policy to transform the country from a landlocked nation into a land link.